And welcome to another edition of the Hard Rock and Sports Show, live from high atop Hard Rock and Sports Studios in beautiful St. Monroe, New Jersey. We are your 2-hour weekly get together where we bring you all the biggest news from around the worlds of hard rock, heavy metal, across the wide world of sports. And guys, sorry if I'm a little late. I had some technical issues here, but we're here, and I am looking forward to another fun-filled show. We have a lot to get to tonight. We unfortunately were supposed to do this show last week, and which would have been our 15th annual, and this is year 15th. Yeah, it's going to year 15. Wow. No, sorry, this is our 12th show, 11th year. We started this in 2014. It is 2025, and this is exactly our anniversary 1 week ago. But unfortunately, we were too busy saying goodbye to Ozzy and Hulk Hogan on last week's show. So yeah, it's okay. But we're here this weekend. I have to tell you. Hold on, I think my dog is loose. Hold on 1 second. Sorry. You got him? He did a good job. Anyway, I'm back. We had a very sad show last week. We spent basically the whole show talking about Ozzy, passing of Ozzy Osbourne and Hulk Hogan, and it really hits you later on, and the icon that both are. So it was a tough week watching all the different celebrations for both, especially for Hulk. I honestly will tell you, I think Hulk Hogan got the bigger. Now, Ozzy was a few days before. There was a lot of that was over, but the Hulk Hogan stuff, boy, it is everywhere, and it was a tough one. And again, I don't. The true magnitude. Again, it's a cartoon character. Let's put it where it was. Hulk Hogan is a cartoon character. Terry Bollea is the real person, and he's gone. And the Hulk Hogan character will live on forever. I watched a lot of old wrestling matches and promos and all that kind of stuff, and that'll always be out there to see. And but I would tell you, it's definitely one of those things where I wish I had gotten a chance to meet Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea. I invited him on the show a few times, never got a response. But it is what it is. But again, guys, let's get to it. Again, I hope you guys have had a good week. I'm looking forward to the show. Jeff's just getting back to his desk, so I'll get him on here. Lots of baseball news today. Yankees, Mets making some, I won't say big moves, but they've both fortified the bullpens. The Yankees get a bat or two as well. I don't know if it's all over and done with. The last time I checked was about an hour and a half ago. And, I definitely think both teams got a little better. Again, I think you didn't see a lot of starting pitches moving for whatever reason. A lot of relievers moved around is what you saw. A couple of big deals along the way. But we'll try to get to talk a little bit about baseball. But tonight's about football. And, we got the first, the Hall of Fame game is tonight. So if you're a real football fan, you'll be watching. We're going to talk a lot of Jets, Giants. We'll talk a little bit about the NFL. I have a bunch of things on my pad. We'll talk a little Spinal Tap tonight. We'll get to a lot of little things tonight, and all that good stuff. But let's get the show started now. Jeff seems like he's ready, and we'll get my dad on, and it's going to be Football Fest, and there'll be a lot of stuff to talk about along the way. We still got a little Ozzy and Sabbath stuff to talk about. We got some Maiden stuff to talk about. Their original singer passed away this week. In fact, I think it was about 2 days ago, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So sit back, buckle up, and let's see where we go. So let's get the show kicked off, and let's get Jeff on and get the show moving. Hey, Hefe, how are you, pal?
What's up, man?
Not much, Jeff. Let's kick it off the right way. Jeff, how was your week?
Well, it's over finally. 2 days off in a row.
No, good for you. That doesn't happen too often lately, seems like.
What's that?
I said you getting 2 days in a row doesn't seem to happen a lot lately.
Well, last week I had to work. I had to cover for somebody, so I ended up getting stuck working. I only had 1 day off.
Yeah.
But, now I have 2 days off, thank God. So
Oh, good for you. Any major plans? You got a gig this weekend?
No, not this weekend. Next weekend. But
Okay.
the only major plan is to not do anything.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. All right, good. Let's hopefully we can kick it off tonight with we got a lot of football stuff. We got some Spinal Tap stuff, some good Spinal Tap, some bad Spinal Tap news. Again, a lot of Jets and Giants tonight. We'll get into the football season a little bit. We are officially, I guess you can say that the 2025 season has officially begun. Would you say that this is basically a kickoff of the season?
Well, I mean, the first is going to happen already. It's wow.
Yeah. We're already seeing football games tonight. So yeah,
don't really mean much, but
it's still
off. That means there'll be a football game on every week now.
That's right.
Till February.
It's very true, yeah, and pretty soon you'll be, at all the different games that they have now, between 3 games on Christmas and the Black Friday games, and Sunday and Sunday night and Monday night and Thursday night, and now there's talk they're going to an 18-game season. It's almost a done deal. It won't be next year, but it sounds like 2027 there'll be 18 games, only 1 or 2. I think it's 2 exhibition games. And the NFL will have 2 more weeks of the season.
Yeah, I'm not liking that, man.
Yeah, I'm with you. One, I think there's too many injuries now. We get to that part of the season, sometimes like week 9, 10, and you're looking at like the 3rd string tackle and the 4th string corner. And, I shudder to think, first off, it needs to end in February. Like it can't, I almost think, I know they want to get to President's Weekend. That's, I think, the goal is to play it so that way that Monday is a holiday. Now, to me, I guarantee you, anybody who cares enough to take the day off or be off on that day is already taking the day off for the Super Bowl. So I don't think it really matters. But, they're going to force this down our throats. And do you think it's getting to the point almost where they're doing more damage than good?
I'm not a fan of all of this stuff. They're gonna you're giving people too much of a choice. Sometimes too much is not good enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know a couple people that are probably gonna love it.
No, there's a lot of people who are gonna love this, and if you're
talking too specifics, they may love it, but I mean, then again, even they may turn around and say that this is a bit much.
Yeah, I just think, for me, I say this. Like, I can deal with the extra 2 games. What I think they need to take away is that Thursday night game. And I know they won't. It's never going away. But to me, you got all day Saturday college football. You got all day Sunday pro football. You got Monday night football. During the week, there's usually a couple of college games now on during the middle of the week. You got Thursday night football. You're gonna have Friday night games in the near future. And then Saturday right back at it. So it's, yeah, and yeah, you're right. It's all about the money. It's all about gambling. And I get all of that. And again, I'm going to watch 18 Giant games a year or 16 Giant games a year. But I think there's to a point that you run the risk of overdoing it. And I think what I'm afraid of is that they're talking about they're going to add 2 more teams in the near future, and they're going to go to 18 games. And Jeff, at some point, there just isn't enough good players.
No, listen, we've talked about that several times in the past. And I got to be honest with you. I mean, I could see why not a Friday night game? If they do college football, say a Wednesday night game and a Thursday night game, like maybe 1 or 2 games because of different sections of the country that may have a game going on. That'll give you all day Saturday for college. You could do a NFL game on Friday, go home Friday night, watch the game on Friday night, watch college Saturday, and then you got football Sunday, Monday. That I could see. I kind of agree with you on the Thursday night games, but then again, I don't know what to say about the Thursday night games because we're doing the show. And by the time I get off the show, I got a couple other things to do that I don't really bother watching the Thursday night games as it is.
Yeah, I try to catch a little bit, but you're right. Most of the time, to be honest with you, unless it's a big game or it's my team, I don't watch a lot of Thursday night football, and I find the Thursday night games are not great games anyway. They just turn into the home team has a major advantage, and it usually turns into that. And I just don't feel it's a good game. And Carl, you're 100% right. But yeah, but you're going to get an 18-game season probably in 2 years. You're going to probably within the next 4 years. They're talking about a team in either Nashville or not Nashville. I'm sorry, Utah and somewhere else.
Utah.
Yeah, I want to say that was one of the cities. I know baseball's talking to go into Nashville, and also into they're talking about adding 2 more football teams.
Utah, I think, would be a hard sell. I mean, I don't know what the population of Utah is, and who borders Utah. I mean, isn't it Colorado and like New Mexico or something like that? It's sparsely populated states as it is because of the mountains and the Midwest, the deserts and stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm going to look at a
but
map.
Again, to Matt's point, it'll probably just drive up the divorce rates, and people are going to watch. I mean, especially now with gambling, it's just another reason to plunk down a few bucks, and maybe get a chance to win a few, and now the fantasy football's through the roof. I mean, all the things that go on. It's interesting. That's just listen. It's a small piece of the puzzle. There's so much to talk about. Jets, Giants. I got a bunch of NFL things. Again, we got a lot to get to. I'll tell you one that's interesting. Let's talk about this quick, then we'll get my dad on.
Real quick, just to tell you, Utah is bordered by Arizona, who has the Cardinals, Nevada, who has the Raiders, Idaho, Wyoming, and Colorado, who has Denver. I don't see a football team working out there, but I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, but they are talking about it. There's a bunch of different cities and places to go. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But there is some talk of the Redskins coming back, and legitimately, I read today was in the Post that the owners of the Redskins are under a lot of stress and pressure from the government to go back to that, and because they want a new stadium and they want it paid for, and all the stuff that goes with it has to be approved by the government. And the guy who's running the government right now said, "Hey, I want to see the Redskins come back." And I think most people, I mean, do you think if you polled 100 people, how many people do you think would say, 100 football fans, would you say would be up for them returning the Redskins name?
I think you get more than you think, to tell you the truth.
I agree. I think most
50%.
I would think it's even higher. I think if you asked a true football fan, they think it's completely dumb. Now, again, if I bought a team and I said, "Hey, you know what? I don't like the name of it. I want to change it." I get it. You own the team, you do it. But when you do it because your sponsors are pressuring you, or some woke group with 3 people with green hair and piercings through their nose and their eyeball, tell you have to me, that's not the reason to change the name of a storied franchise. And you know what? Everybody that I've ever seen interviewed or talked to from these Indian communities and stuff all say the same thing. It was actually, a real person who stood for that, and they were very proud of the fact. So, I agree with Matt. I think it's much higher. So I'm with, and I say, I always say I don't want the government involved in sports and stuff in stupid ways. They got enough things to worry about. Get it right and worry about it. But, this one, I'm kind of glad that he's kind of putting the pressure on them. And I think all Redskin fans, and I think all their old players would relish the fact of going back to the old ugly uniforms. But I think the tradition of, nobody out there tells me that they can actually like Washington Commanders. It's just impossible. Same thing for the Cleveland Guardians.
No, the Cleveland Guardians is definitely a dumber name than the.
Yes, I agree.
And there's at least you say Commander that's Washington D.C. But isn't the Guardian actually has something to do with the Indians?
I'm not even sure.
Tribe is something, I believe.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. But here's the part I get. Like, I almost can understand that people say, "Oh, well, it's a racial thing with the Redskins." But why is the name Indian a bad thing? Like, why was that? You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you said like the kids, they want to get rid of the Chiefs. Like, what is wrong with it? What is so racist about those terms that people feel the need to go crazy. I don't get it. You may be off.
Like you said, if you talked about the Redskins, maybe the Braves, the rest of the teams that were named after the Cleveland Indians. I don't understand what the problem with that was. The Atlanta Braves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't see what the problem is with these names, but
I don't get it either.
And again, I guess I think a little differently than them.
But you know what it is, Jeff? It's a couple of people who sit there and go, all right, I'm going to annoy them so much. I'm going to make them change it just for that. Let me see if it's that kind of mentality, because you're not telling me that anybody sat there and went, the Cleveland Indians, that's disgusting. I can't believe somebody actually used the word Indian. It's like ridiculous.
Well, let me tell you something, Tom. Somebody did.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you.
Mission accomplished on that one. You know what I mean?
Let's call them the Cleveland Indigenous Peoples Team. Can we be more stupid in our lives?
But something too. What bothers me about teams' name change, when they moved the Washington Redskins for 2 or 3 seasons, they were the Washington Football Team.
Correct.
Okay. Now you got the hockey, the Utah Mammoth. They're going to be this year.
Yep.
Yeah, but last year they were a Utah hockey team.
Yes.
Are you in such a rush to get this team moved and name changes that you actually have to come up with a bullshit name like that?
Yeah. I mean, you're telling me that you're not smart enough or crafty enough to come up with a real team name? It took you 3 years to come up with a real team name? I don't necessarily get it. But listen, it is what it is, and
Utah, are Mormons even allowed to go to fucking sporting events? What is the pot? What is the draw there? I don't understand. I really don't.
Good question. Don't know the answer.
I got to look up the population of Utah. I bet you it's under 500,000.
It's very possible.
Oh wow, definitely wrong.
Oh really?
Oh, big time. 3.5 million.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
and get a load of this. The surrounding states: Colorado 5.96 million, Arizona 7.58 million, Wyoming. Wyoming was pretty fucking funny. 587,618. Idaho 2 million. So they have a pretty decent number of people there, but 3.5 million people is really not that much. There's more than that, like on Staten Island, it seems.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. Hey, guys, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. We got a lot of football stuff to get to right after we pick up my dad. We'll talk about coaches on the hot seat. We got, again, a lot of Jets and Giants tonight, a lot of NFL, and hopefully this is the start. The show will pick up again, and there'll be some stuff every week as the camps move forward and we get closer and closer to week 1 of the NFL. We'll bring it to you each and every week here. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out with us. And thanks to joining us for another year. Again, we've started our 11th year doing this. This started in 2014. And who knows? It could be, you never know if this is the last year or if there's 10 more behind it. Who the hell knows? We'll figure it out at some point. But in the meantime, let's get my dad on, and then we'll get on to some football and all this other stuff. What's up, Pop?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Good, Dad. What's going on? What's on your mind?
Nah, you threw me totally off.
What?
Sports is anything with money.
Uh-huh.
You know that. So I remember when baseball was American League, National League, 8 teams in each division.
Mm-hmm.
2 top teams from each one played in the World Series.
Yep.
Today it's milked down. Guys are constantly getting hurt.
Mm-hmm.
They would tell me nobody got hurt back in the 50s, 60s.
Yeah, sure. Of course they did. They always got hurt. But I think the difference is, one, back then it was a little more expected of guys to play through injuries. One, they needed the money and they didn't want to get cut for not playing because those guys played year to year. 2, I think as a rule, you will look down upon when you didn't play because of it. I mean, just look at guys like Mantle. I mean, the guy wrapped himself up like a shroud every week in order to get out there and play baseball. So, today guys get a hangnail and they're out. So,
Yeah, but guys, when Mantle played, weren't making
right.
$50 million a year.
That's my
These
point.
guys can't get hurt like that.
Well, think about it, guys making the minimum this year of almost $1 million. Those back in those days, if you were lucky, you were getting a contract that was 5 years for $1 million. So it's a different ball game, and then the pressure's on to play. That's the bottom line. The pressure's on to play. So, but you're right, Dad. It's a completely different element today.
They watered down sports, and they're going to do the same thing to football. They're going to ruin football. Like, hear me now. They're going to ruin football. Because like anything else, you put it on a couple of days, a week, now you go more and more. After a while, people it doesn't matter anymore. That's what happened with baseball.
Well, I do agree with you because there is a lot on. The difference is betting on football is so huge right now that it almost doesn't matter. What it's doing is maybe the guys like you and Jeff who are football fans get tired of turning on the TV and seeing it, and especially if your team's not good. Now, if the Giants are good this year, you'll tune into all 18 games if they had 18 games. Sure. So that's kind of, and we're all not big betting guys. So, but there's a lot of people, some who were just on with us, who will watch every minute of every game because they'll bet on every single play of every game. They'll bet on every game, every outcome, and parlays and all the stuff that goes with it. So, I think it'll be a long time. I think scandals could hurt the game. I think that's the one thing you're starting to see in baseball is now there's another guy for the Cleveland Indians who got caught betting, and now he's out for a while. And I think that's the one thing that could take baseball down is football down is a big scandal. If there
now what you see a lot of flag football. Now they got women playing flag football.
They have women's football leagues. Not too long ago, they had a women's lingerie football league. Women were playing tackle football in their life. It was on ESPN. It wasn't like on some, in-demand channel. You turn on ESPN at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and there's women playing in lingerie tackle football.
That's so stupid.
It is. It's like, but you know what? I'll guarantee you there's some moron holed up in his house at 1 a.m. betting on the games, and that's the truth.
I think there's more like there's some moron in the 1 o'clock in the morning. He's got something in his hands, all right.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying is that it's not that far fetched. So while we kind of complain about it, the truth is it's never been more popular. It's never made more money, and I think the only thing that could hurt football right now in the short term is if there was a big scandal, like they find out somebody threw a game, somebody had a bet and the outcome of the game was fixed. And now there was all these questions. I think then you could drive a bunch of people away and say, I'm not spending my money on this. And if I'm not spending my money on it, I ain't watching it. Because a lot of people watch football because they bet on it. I watch football because I love the game. I love my team and I watch it. I'll watch it every week. But there's a lot of people, especially the younger generation, who only watch football for fantasy and for betting.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It really is. But I think there is a certain point where it's on every day. And, Jeff, when we were kids, why was Monday Night Football so big? Because, you had all the games on Sunday.
Game of the week.
Right. But it was the one game of the week where it was by itself. Sunday was Jets and Giants. Then they got to the Sunday afternoon game sometimes, and you get the, Cowboys or Steelers. But Monday night was the one night of the week where everybody tuned in. It was the only football game on, and you had to wait a whole nother week for another game. Now it's like, well, if I watch Monday night, I'll catch part of the Thursday night game instead. Or, well, you know what, I'll miss Thursday, but I'll catch, Sunday night, and I'll watch, there's too many options now. That's the bad part for the NFL, I think.
Totally agree, yeah.
And especially now, Dad, like with the streaming services, Thursday night games are on Prime. Now they're coming up with games on Peacock for the playoffs. It's NFL's just trying to make as much money as they can, and we're not going to stop it. And you're either going to watch it.
They're going to wind up going overseas pretty soon.
Yes, I'm agreeing. I think Jeff agrees with me. I'm not sure, but I think maybe not in London right away, but I would not be shocked if in the next 5 or 10 years there's an NFL game, a Super Bowl game in Mexico, where it's at least, in our time zone. I think the 5-hour ahead Super Bowl in London is a little rough for them to figure out. It would be on like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the afternoon here, but it'll happen. There'll be enough money involved. They will play a game. A Super Bowl will be played outside of the United States in the next 5 years. I would almost guarantee it.
I hope not.
I agree with you, but
I hope not too.
But I think that, and I think eventually, I would be shocked if the NFL did not make the Super Bowl a pay-per-view event.
That's most sports now. That's what's happening now. Baseball, you can see it.
Well, the problem with baseball, Dad, is it's 7 games. It's a 7-game series. Same thing for the other sports. Football is the only one where it's a one-time do-or-die game. So it's an easy time to say, "Hey, you want to watch the Super Bowl this year? It's President's weekend, and it's a pay-per-view event. $49.99
last year, a playoff game
Sure.
was pay-per-view.
No, it wasn't pay-per-view. It was on streaming service. So you had to have, I don't know, they've been doing a couple games on Peacock in the playoffs. They've had, I think they did a Prime game on Amazon Prime also. But I'm talking about where you have to go on, pay $49 separately just to watch the game, or $50.
ESPN is going to wind up having that, where you buy a package and it's all the NFL games.
Well,
unless you buy it.
They're talking about that already. It's already been talked. Like you can go and just buy Giant games, or you could buy just Jet games, or you could buy, and they'll have some games on regular TV, but you'll have to pay a subscription to watch your team. It's all headed that way because they know right now they can do whatever they want and people will do it.
You're right. You guys are right. You're 100%.
So we'll see.
All right, I'm gonna let you go now.
All right, Pops.
I know you got there. Take care, Jeff. Take care, Tommy. I'll see you over the weekend.
You got it, Pop. See you over the weekend. So, Jeff, let's get into some football. We got a lot to talk about. Our teams are in camp. There's a lot of optimism on it, but I want to talk about, which is always the big thing, I think, going into a season, is what coaches are on the hot seat. And then I want to talk about the quarterbacks that have moved around a little bit. So let's talk about who's on the hot seat right now. So I'm going to give you let me ask you this question. If you had to give me 3 coaches or teams, okay, I would agree he's on a hot seat. I don't think he's going anywhere, but okay. Give me 3 coaches in the NFL. Yeah. Give me 3 coaches in the NFL that you think are on the hot seat right now. And I'll give you a list of 10 guys that are on the hot seat.
Definitely Dable, without a doubt.
Yep, I would agree.
Okay. The guy from Detroit.
He's not on the list, but that is an interesting one because you're right. I think there's a lot of pressure on him to take the next step this year.
Well, the next step, or definitely consistency. If he drops out of the playoffs or he doesn't go far in the playoffs, he may find himself on that list.
Well, think about it. He lost 8 of his assistant coaches this year.
Yeah, basically almost his whole staff, you would say.
Yeah, and to me, I think, we always talk about that teams have windows on these things. And while I still think they're a very talented team, they should have went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Last year, they get beat early in the playoffs by a young Redskin team. There's a lot of pressure on Dan Campbell to get back to the NFC Championship game and to get to a Super Bowl with this team.
Yeah, I'm gonna
give me another one.
I just had one on the tip of my fucking tongue. I'm not gonna say Denver. I don't think the guy from Denver, was it Peyton, Gary Payton?
Sure, Peyton. Yeah.
Holy shit. I don't think Mike Tomlin. I think he's safe.
Tomlin's on that list.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I myself would think he's safe. Maybe the guy from Cincinnati.
He is. Zach Taylor is on the list as well. Yeah. So I think the guy who's the most on the hot seat right now is Mike McDaniel from the Dolphins.
Yeah, I would have to say that. Maybe the guy in Chicago too.
He's not on the list.
No. He's the new hire, right?
He's the new hire. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's not going to happen.
The guy
San Francisco's coach.
He's not on the list. Again, he definitely could be somebody, but he seems to be entrenched over there. One guy is Jonathan Gannon from the Cardinals, Brian Callahan from the Tennessee Titans. You're right on Zach Taylor. Kevin Stefanski of the Cleveland Browns is another guy who's.
I mean, this is a team that's been awful for years.
Yeah, but I think the biggest one to me, I mean, obviously, see, I'm with you to a certain extent with Tomlin. Listen, the guy doesn't lose. I mean, he's not had a losing season, but it's a long, long time since that team went to the playoffs. I mean, I think they've been to the playoffs 4 times, and they've been beaten in the first round each time.
Yeah, but, just like how we say to John all the time, this team is always within the conversation of the Super Bowl. This year they have a 41-year-old quarterback.
Well,
that already announced he's playing like his last year.
Yes.
So what does he have to lose? What happens if he decides that he's going to give up after week 3? I just can't see Tomlin being held responsible for that.
But here's the thing. And I'm with you. I always say to people, if I said to you, all right, for the next 10 years, you can have one of 2 things. You can either have 2 Super Bowls championships, so you have 2 Super Bowl championships, but every other year you're basically a mediocre or a bad team. Or for 10 years, you'll be better than 500 every year, but you won't win a Super Bowl. What would you take?
Oh, listen, unfortunately in the NFL, due to the way that they have the league set up, what is it, like 9-8 is one game over 500.
Yeah.
So, you're either going to be one game under 500 or one game over 500 at to say that.
Well, think about you're in every year, like you're right there. You're not,
but if you finish 9-8 is really, you're pretty much out of it. You know that because the conversation starts sometime in November that, certain teams need 10 wins in the AFC.
Oh, sure.
Basically get you into playoffs. Mm-hmm. And if you're hovering around 5 or 6 at that point in time, that's a big order. But I hear what you're saying. There's a lot of teams that just, don't make the playoffs as much and do good in the playoffs. The Cowboys, who used to be perennial Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah.
The Patriots the last couple of years haven't done much.
Yep.
Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase haven't been able to get the Bengals into it.
Yep.
What's his face over there? Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
As good as he runs the ball and he's starting to throw the ball better, he's not able to take a step in the right direction. They put a lot of money in San Francisco. A lot of players left. Who knows what happens there? So, I mean, while I understand that these guys can lose their jobs,
yep.
There's a lot of them that even though they may be on a list, that's somebody's opinion, they're going to be safe.
No, I agree with you. And again, it's just an outside looking in. You have no idea. I mean, listen, the Cowboys have a new coach. Schottenheimer's their new coach. Nobody thought he'd get the job. He got the job. Now, if he goes out there and they go, 2-15, is that going to be it? So, hot seats change minute to minute. I mean, Aaron Glenn's got the job. If Aaron Glenn goes 3-14 and his team's a joke, is he coming back? I mean, look at the Patriots. They hired one of their own last year. I can't think of the guy's name on top of my head. Remember it was a black guy they played linebacker for them.
Vrabel.
No, Vrabel got the job this year. There was another guy who was proven.
I remember who you're talking about. I can't remember the name.
So here's a guy who came in. He had 1 year, and he's gone. The NFL is no.
Let's be honest. They didn't give him a chance.
Absolutely not.
They had the chance to get Vrabel, and that's all it was.
100%. And I agree. And I agree with the move. I'm just saying this: in today's NFL, you don't get a lot of chances to build a franchise anymore. If you don't come out and you don't have success pretty much right away, you're not sticking around for very long. So, Mike McDaniel, he's only been there since 2022. he has not improved each year. And I think he's the biggest guy but I saw Todd Bowles on the list. Todd Bowles won that division 2 years in a row. I mean, so why is Todd Bowles on the hot seat? I mean, he doesn't have a great team, but he's won that division. They've made it to the playoffs. They've won some playoff games. He just won a Super Bowl not too long ago, So, I think these lists are very tough when it comes to the hot seat of the NFL. So, but you're right. I think, but I wanted to disagree. I do think by bringing in Aaron Rodgers, and they basically threw all chips in with that. If they were to go out there and they don't make the playoffs, I do believe that there's an outside chance he could move up in the organization. I think they would say, hey, Mike, let's move you up to, team president and hire a new coach. I think at some point they might not be listening to him anymore. And I think some of the moves are a little questionable, Jeff.
Yeah, well, listen, this is life in the NFL. You're expected to do something within a year or two.
Oh, yeah.
It is what it is. These guys are pretty much at it year round.
Yeah.
And when things don't go right, somebody has to answer those questions. And, it's usually the head coach who goes first. But, I like how when they like how everybody else is connected to one person. So, they didn't draft this receiver. They didn't draft this quarterback. This guy wasn't their pick for end. So, now the whole team, they blow the whole team up, and they don't even take some of the players and use them as core players. It's just, it's amazing how they just move on and tear down. And that's why teams like the Jets and the Browns and the Cardinals and several others will never get their name on a fucking Super Bowl trophy, man. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, no, I got you. It's a tough one. Let's move on a little bit. I want to talk about the quarterbacks. It seems like every year we have this migration of quarterbacks. Who's leaving the free agency, who gets cut, who gets traded. This year there's a lot. So let's start with how wise of it was the Minnesota Vikings letting Sam Darnold move on and going with an unproven sophomore quarterback who missed all of last year. This was a team that at some points in the last couple of years has been considered one of the best teams in football, hasn't done anything with it. Very disappointing end to the season, Jeff. But did they make the wise move, cutting ties with Sam Darnold and letting him move on and go with the rookie? Or do you think they should have brought Darnold back for another go-round?
I think everybody and their mother forgot what Sam Darnold is. I really do. I really believe that people were blinded by one good year and 6 or 7 seasons where he was absolutely awful, and 2 or 3 of those seasons where he didn't even play on a regular basis. The guy had a couple receivers, and he was on a pretty decent football team. Some of that alone is going to rub off and make him a better quarterback. But I just think that he went out and had a really good year, and I would have let him go too.
Yeah, that seems to be a lot of. I said it that if he didn't win a playoff game, he wouldn't be back. And I was right. He wasn't. But let me ask you a question. Baker Mayfield has kind of turned his career around. He's had a couple of really good years. Baker Mayfield's had a couple of really good years now in Tampa. There's something to be said for maybe these guys getting rushed onto the field and kind of stunting the growth of them, and maybe year 5 and 6 is where they're catching it. Do you think that he can at least be a Baker Mayfield type, or do you think last year was a total aberration?
I think that he was just happened to be at the right place at the right time last year.
Okay.
You got to remember something, and Frank can say whatever he wants to say, and who gives a shit about that? Okay. He was started with the Jets, then he went to the Carolina Panthers. He spent time with the 49ers. I believe that then he was with the Vikings. I think there was another team in there also.
He was at San Francisco. He
said the 49ers.
He did. I missed it. Okay, so yeah,
and the other teams passed up on him too.
Sure.
So you can't tell me that all these teams were wrong, and they
No.
all had him, and they were all let him go. I just don't see it. I think that he had one good season.
Okay.
He had some good players to lean on. I think San Francisco was in. I'm not San Francisco. Seattle was insane for getting behind him and giving him a push that way. I just don't see that happening.
Well, I think they needed. I think they needed a change.
He didn't even start with some of those other teams. He didn't start with the 40.
Yeah, Frank, I disagree. I mean, he did not play well with the Jets.
Benched in fucking Carolina,
yeah,
bro.
Carolina, he was terrible, and he didn't play very much in Frisco. I don't know if there was another stop along the way that we're forgetting about, but last year was either a rebirth or an aberration. Like there wasn't. I don't think you could point to another year with the Jets or anybody else where he played anywhere near as good as he played last year. So while I understand Seattle, I do.
He played with the Jets, the Panthers. He played with the Jets for 2 years, Jets for 3 years, Panthers for 2 years, 1 year with San Francisco, 1 year with Minnesota, and now he's on with Seattle.
There was never a time with the Jets that I thought he looked anything like he did last year. And Carolina, he was terrible. I remember watching him against the Giants. He couldn't complete a pass. He was terrible. And Frisco, he really didn't play. So
I'm gonna have to check his stats because I mean, like,
yes.
what could he have possibly played? He played a mop-up game at best.
Yeah,
in San Francisco.
But what he did get in San Francisco was a good education from a good coach. Now, I'm not a huge Kyle Shanahan fan. I think he's a dickhead, but he is a really good football coach. So I think he finally got in a locker room with a coach who may have taught him some stuff, and maybe he picked up some things in that offense, and it helped him last year. The problem I have with it, and Jeff's kind of right, is when he was playing well, he played great. But then it got to the point where I think the other team started to figure him out, and he could not get himself out of trouble. And those last two games of the regular season and the playoff kind of turned you back into he's the old Sam Darnold. I understand Seattle giving him a chance
Sam
because
played,
okay.
But I don't know what Frank is talking about. Maybe you should put the bottle down or something, Frank. I don't know. He played 10 games in Seattle, mop-up duty. He was 28 of 46 for 297 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception.
No, he said he had his best year last year with Minnesota.
No, huh? Yeah, that was the only year that he had anything good was Minnesota.
Yeah. Again, I wouldn't count San Francisco as much of anything.
No, it was mop-up duty at best.
100%, Frank. I think he played in a good system, and the coach in Minnesota is a really good football coach, and I think he did a great job. I was just curious to see, they're going to JJ McCarthy, who has not thrown a pass in the NFL. I mean, just has not done anything yet. He could go the way of Patrick Mahomes, who didn't play his first year, sat and then came in and played his second year and took off. Maybe it turns into that for them. McCarthy sat around. There's a lot of questions about McCarthy coming out of college. He didn't have to throw the ball a lot. He wanted a national championship with a great running game and a great defense. So we'll see. I understand what Seattle's trying to do. I think it's a smart move. Just depends. We're both bad. Agree. If he comes out this year and plays 3/4 of football like he did last year, I'll give him a little credit and say he's maybe headed toward the Baker Mayfield thing. The problem is you got to ride it out. And again, a lot of teams.
His first year in New York, he was injury prone. Mm-hmm. He went 13, 12 games with Carolina, and then he played 6 with the Panthers in 1 year and 10 over in San Francisco. And he had through his first year 2,800 yards, 3,000 yards, 2,200 yards, and then 2,500 yards.
What did he go last year?
Last year he was 361 of 545, 4,319 yards, 35 touchdowns, 12 interceptions.
It's a great season.
It's a very good season.
Yeah, it's a great season. The problem for it is what everybody's going to remember are those last 2 or 3 games where he shit the bed and started throwing passes to the other team that he wasn't doing during the regular season. So this is a big year for him. I think, he goes out to Seattle and he helps them, and he has that kind of season again. People are going to say, all right, Sam Darnold finally got there. If he doesn't, and he's throwing for 2,800 yards, and he flips it around and he throws for 22 touchdowns and 25 interceptions, then I think Jeff can be more right. We'll see. The next guy who moved around is Geno Smith. So Geno Smith gets bounced out of Seattle, and he winds up with the Raiders. They get traded over there. Geno's, again, one of those guys who stumbled through the early part of his career, and then was he a product of a good system with Pete Carroll and Seattle, Jeff, or has he turned himself into a good quarterback?
I think he's a better than average quarterback, but I also think he's getting old. What is he, like 34, 35 years old? So he's not going to be somebody that you're going to want to hit your wagon on for long term.
No, but these guys are playing into their 40s. So, think about it. If he's 34, you could get 4, 5, or 6 years out of him as a starting quarterback. Frankie, what's a good for Darnold? A good year to me would be
he's 34 years old. He'll be 35 years old, Geno, in the middle of the season.
Yeah, so I mean, you don't think you can get him to? If you got 4 years out of him, I mean, that's a pretty good run today. You could draft a quarterback in the next year or two and develop him. So I think if you're the Raiders and you had 4 good years out of Geno and he played well, I don't think you could complain about that today. Nowadays, guys.
You know something? I don't think that we could look at his stats too and say, that while he was in Seattle, he was with Seattle for 2 years before he got to start, and he threw for 4,200, 3,600, 4,300. But he threw for 30, 20, and 21 touchdowns. And then he went from 11 interceptions to 9 to 15. So is he on the decline?
Again, I don't think you're going to see a 5,000 yard, 35 touchdown, 10 interception season at Geno Smith. But I don't think you need that. You just need him to be a good veteran presence. You need him to put, 25 touchdowns on the board. Maybe he runs in for 4 or 5 of them. Kind of have one of those kind of seasons. If he reverts back the other way, then of course it's a bad move, and he'll be back holding the clipboard soon enough. So I think that's an interesting one to watch. I'll go to your team.
He does have 12 rushing touchdowns in his career. 6 of them came with the Jets in his first season in the league.
Wow, that's surprising to me. That's not a lot. But then again, I never thought of him as a running quarterback. I've always thought of him more as a pocket quarterback, a guy who can be slippery, but not necessarily a running quarterback.
No. Which
obviously 6 touchdowns in the last 15 years or whatever it is of his career doesn't leave much for a running quarterback, right?
Yeah, no. His yardage, well, you know what? He rushed for 272 yards last year, 366 2 years ago.
Okay.
But he's he is getting older, 34 years old,
Yeah.
Maybe he's not going to want to get fucking hit either,
No, absolutely. Let's talk about
that sucks.
Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers going to the Steelers. Now, to me, this ties back into the whole Tomlin thing, and I think they're desperate. I think they know that they have to have a big season this year. I think they hitched their wagon to a guy who, he didn't play badly last year. He wasn't terrible, but there's a guy who missed all of the preseason this year. He purposely held out to sign just before the mandatory minicamp so he'd show up for that. I think there's a lot to ask. There's a lot that they asked for. They did go out and get a couple of wide receivers with DK Metcalf. So, I think there's a lot in there. I just don't think they're very good, and they're in a very tough division, Jeff. I think Cincinnati's going to be much better this year, and Baltimore's good every year. I think there's a real good chance the Steelers are a third-place team in a tough conference, and probably don't make the playoffs.
I think to be a second-place team, they're going to need some injuries out of Seattle. Not Seattle. I'm sorry, Cincinnati.
I agree. I think that's their only chance. I don't think they're talented enough to win. I think there's a lot of magic gone, and I don't believe that they'll hover around 500. They're not terrible, but I would be shocked. But to me, the signing of Aaron Rodgers to me is a desperation move by a team that's desperate to have some sort of playoff success with a guy who hasn't had any playoff success in a long time, Jeff.
Well, listen, they waited a long time to get an answer from this guy. So unless they knew, unless he gave them an answer and he was just like, I'm not announcing it till later on, but I give you my word that I'm going to be there.
I think that's it. Yeah, I do.
You would like to think that was it, because
you're talking about one of the smartest franchises out there. To me, to sit around and go, all right, we have to hope he signs. Because think about it. If he didn't sign, they're going into the season with Skylar Thompson and who's the backup quarterback? Another quarterback,
Mason Rudolph, right?
Yeah, as their two quarterbacks. So you're not. To me, this was, guys, I'm going to come. I don't want to come to anything, but I don't. If I sign, I got to show up. I'm going to wait till the last minute. I'm going to sign, but I promise you, I'll be in shape.
Tom, I got to zip to the bathroom real quick.
So do you think? Again, Hard Rocket Sports. That's Jeff and I'm Tom. We're here on a football Thursday, but I know there's been a lot of moves. Frankie, what'd you think of your Mets? The moves. Mullins is a decent move. It gives him a real good center fielder who hasn't hit lately, but who knows? Maybe he gets a little juiced up over here. And a couple of good moves with the bullpen. So, Frankie, give me a little on your Mets and their trades today and this week. Soto, some good, the reliever Soto, the whole bit. Now they're not playing real well right now, but Carlos Correa going back to the Astros. We got the Yankees get Bird. The Yankees get the reliever from the Pirates, which is a good move. I don't know about a great job. I thought they did a really good job. Listen, they need a starter. So do the Yankees, and nobody was trading starters, at least not for cheap. So everybody went to go shore up the bullpen, and I think they did a nice job. I would love to see them get another bat. That was going to be something. But I also thought the Mullins is a really good center fielder, and if he even remotely hits, like McMahon for the Yankees came in, and he had been doing nothing all year. Yeah, and he got a little energized, and he's played great this first week with the Yankees. Now, does it carry forward? I don't know. I think the Mets could get a little juice out of that. And I'll tell you what, the Mets are in a tough spot right now, and I'll tell you why. Because I know they were probably anxious to maybe pick up a big bat or a big starting pitcher, and that would have meant trading Vientos or Mauricio or Beatty or one of those guys. And I know they were reluctant because if you think about it, right now, that bottom of the order and those guys are carrying this team because what's his name? Alonso and Lindor for the last 6 weeks have not hit worth a shit. Now, will they catch? I would imagine so. But, if you trade one of those young kids and you come back with something, great. I think the Mets decided that they think that those kids can help carry this team the rest of the way and until those other guys get back into it. I think both teams did a good job shoring up big holes. The Yankees bullpen has been terrible. Williams has been terrible. The question for me is Williams going to finish the year as the closer, or is this Bednar's going to do it? I don't know. No, I disagree, Frankie. I think they were in on the kid from Miami. They were in from Kelly. I think the question was, were teams looking to part with them? And if they were, they wanted an arm and a leg. And I think that's the problem everybody had with starting pitching. Yeah, I agree with you. It's totally a bullpen game. But I think both the Yankees and the Mets needed a starter. Now, the Yankees, they could hope that Luis Gil comes back next week and he becomes that guy that they could trade for. So I think the Yankees can survive if Gil comes back. But you're right. You saw it. Both teams are figuring, just get me to the fifth inning and the bullpen will take me the rest of the way. So, all right, let's get back to a little bit.
No?
Well, of course it is, because at some point in life, you like to be able to put the ball in one guy's hands who gets on a roll, and shuts the other team down. When you're relying on, 4 pitches to get you through a game all you need is one of those pitchers to have a bad inning, and you're done.
It's over.
Yeah. So to me, yes, Frank, you're 100% right. But so to me, this is the nature of the MLB now, Jeff, is most guys go 5 innings, throw 90-something pitches, and then your bullpen's got to get you anywhere from 9 to 12 outs. So,
That's a lot, man. It's
absolutely.
a lot. Years ago, when the Yankees were winning the World Series in the 80s or 70s, they had Rich Gossage. He would go in and want the 7th inning.
Yep. Yeah, that's a the Yankees had a good formula back in the 90s and 2000s where they would get, you had to get, all you needed was 6 innings. And that was kind of the start of this whole thing. And then you get to the 7th inning, and Stanton would come in and pitch the 7th, and then Nelson would pitch the 8th, and then Mariano would pitch the 9th. And then if, one of those guys got knocked out or had a bad, and Mariano had to pitch an inning in plus, he was the best closer in ever. So, that formula has now transcended to everybody, and most starters don't get out of the 5th inning. It's scary, but
it's unbelievable. What if the whole league is that way?
It really. Let me tell you something. You go. I would tell you. I bet you there aren't 50 starts all year of complete games. I have to look that up, but I bet you there aren't 50 games this year that were full game start completed games by starting pitcher. I bet you there aren't 50. Meanwhile, I don't know if it was Gibson, one of those guys back in '68 had 30
games or something.
Yeah,
right?
he had like 32 complete games. Like, I mean, when we always talk about the guys today being much better athletes, yet these guys can't pitch, or you get guys who can't play 3 games. The Yankees came back from the All-Star game. So the All-Star game, basically the guys are done on Sunday afternoon, and they don't come back till Friday. So the guys are off for a week. So the Yankees come back. They play Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Game 1, they start. Everybody's back. Game 2, they're actually sitting guys. And I just said they just sat down for a week, and you're gonna rest a guy on the second game after you're back after a week off. There are like 6 hitters. Yeah,
that's pretty insane, man.
Yeah,
pretty insane, and that's why I see Frank just wrote 6 batters batting over 300. Just a couple of weeks ago, you were talking about Judge possibly hitting 400.
Yeah,
which I knew. I mean, I'm not a baseball guy. I knew that wasn't going to happen. I just knew that wasn't going to happen.
But if he winds at 325, that's like 400 now. Think, back in the day when if you were hitting 220, you were probably either a shortstop, back in the day, or you were getting ready to go down for the season. Now 220 is acceptable. If you're hitting 270, that's the new 300.
I remember Gorman Thomas when he was with the Brewers back in the 70s and 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And he was hitting like 212, 215, like in the real low 200s. And they were complaining about him, but because he was a power hitter, it was acceptable.
Correct.
Acceptable numbers.
100%. I mean, and I say it all the time, go look at Dave Kingman's numbers and compare it to the guys who are playing today. And people used to laugh at Kingman. And now Kingman's numbers are acceptable or the standard now. So it's a whole different game. It's a whole different game. And it's sad because I know you don't watch it, but I do. And when you watch it, it's like I watch these kids swinging for the heels. Everybody's trying to hit a 400-foot home run. It's like they think that the fans only want to see monster home runs. Let's hit home runs. And I find it boring. And it's like you get more strikeouts than hits in a game. It's just frightening at this point. So listen, it is what it is. But
it's all about the what do you call it? The offense. That's all that the people worry about. It's the only thing. Video games have hurt a lot of aspect of sports.
Sure. And
kids don't want to sit and watch a game that was a defensive battle. Nobody wants to see that.
Yep.
They want to see action. What's action? Putting the ball over the fucking fence. That's what they want to see.
Yeah.
And listen, that's why the Mets went after Juan Soto last year and got him for the team. He voices their offense. It gives them a little hope.
Yeah.
This is what the fans want to see.
I think the throw overrule. I see them munting more. Frankie, I don't see enough of it. I don't see enough of the people stealing. You don't see enough people hitting and running anymore. There's no more manufacturing runs. It's get on base. The next guy try to hit a home run. Everybody tries to hit a 3-run homer. And I get it, but that's not, that works in, when you're facing the 5th starter in July. When you get to October, you're facing the top 3 pitchers. There's not a lot of times you're giving up home runs.
You got to play a different game.
Yeah, and the problem is if you're not doing it all year, it's tough to get to October and now to say, okay, now we're going to bunt, now we're going to hit and run, now we're going to steal bases. We're not going to try for 3-run homers. It's just if you don't do it all year, it's hard to do. And that's one of the problems I've had with the Yankees for the last 7 years or 8 years. Is during the year they mesh everybody up. They win 90-plus games. They lead the league in homers, or they're right the top 5. And you get to October, and they're all striking out because you're facing the top 2, 3, 4, top 2 or 3 pitchers in the other team's rotation. And there's no gimmies. There's no automatics. You're not facing, the 5th starter who's been either is a 38-year-old journeyman or a second-year Scribini. It just doesn't happen. You're right. And again, I'm just telling you what I watch when I see it. But yes, and I hate the analytics of the Yankees. And I don't blame Boone. That comes from Cashman and up top. I think analytics has ruined baseball. I always said you can take stats and you can run them through and water them up and see what they take you. But at the end of the day, it should be about guts and about what you're feeling in there, what you see, what the other team's doing, what your team's doing, what your player has, all of that stuff. And to just go, the computer says this is what we should be doing here. To me, that's
I don't understand that. This is a game that's 150 years old, and how did they play it for the first 140 years?
Yeah.
135 years without that aspect of it.
Don't know, but that's the problem now. So we'll see. Again, it's Frankie, you're right. It's to me that's the thing. It needs to be a feeling of, hey, normally my guy, maybe your guy's not feeling well. He was out a little late. He ate a little something that's feeling well. Or maybe he just doesn't have it today. Even with the binder or the computer says he should, and it's, hey, I think this guy today, is pitching a certain way. It's a gut feeling thing, and that's the problem when you start dealing with computers and analytics and 5 guys sitting up in an office going, the book says we should be doing this. So,
what's the point of having a manager?
Well, that's what most people hate about the Yankees and Aaron Boone is that most people feel he's not really doing the job, that he's basically being given the lineup. He's basically being told how to run the team and when to make moves, because sometimes things happen and you're like, why is he doing this? This makes 0 sense. And this team, again, will win 90 games. And at the end of the day, they'll make the playoffs and they'll probably get bounced in the first round. To me, I would have sold off Goldschmidt. I would have sold off anybody I could, and I would have brought up Spencer Jones, and I would have played all the rookies and built this team for the future. And that's how I would have played.
They still have a chance this year, Tom, no?
Listen, the American League is still, I think Seattle got much better today. So I think Seattle might be the team to beat, and Detroit's been good all year. So the Yankees have a real good chance. They have an even chance of getting out and getting back to a World Series. I just think the National League teams are much better.
Always stands that the Yankees look like they're the 4th best team.
Yeah,
in the American League, and overall in baseball itself, they may still be the 4th best team.
Well, again, I think the Dodgers are better in the National League. I think the Mets are a better team right now than the Yankees in the National League, even though I don't think the Mets are playing very well and they need to snap out of it. There's some good teams in the National League. I think the National Leagues overall are much better. But yeah, again, they're behind the Toronto, but I still think the Yankees are better than Toronto. But Detroit's been good all year, and Seattle got really good. I think that's going to be a very tough team to beat. So, yeah, I think and you're a wise ass, Frankie. I'm still rooting for Danny Dimes. Wait till I get on the show with my Danny Dimes Colts shirt jersey. Don't worry, it's coming. It's coming. Blue Danny Dimes. I'm going to be wearing on here. Frankie, you're right. But the problem for the Mets, Lindor is batting like 190 since the middle of June, and Alonso's been even worse. So if these kids even tumble a little bit, you guys are going to go on a bad streak if those two guys don't wake up soon. And Alonso, I'm not sure he's going to. Lindor, I think, will turn it around. But Pete,
I'm not a Met fan, and you know that. But I mean, I heard you guys talking about Pete Alonso a couple of weeks ago. Yep. They should sign him long term, this, that, and the other thing. And now you're saying that he's pretty much done for the year.
Not me. First off, I am not a big Alonso fan. I've said all along that nobody should sign him for more than a 2 or 3 year deal. I think the only one who will give him any sort of deal like that is the Mets because of who he is. But anybody who gives him more than a 3 year deal is dumb. He carried them early this year. His bat was alive, and he's playing pretty well defensively right now. But his bat has gone to shit. He's swinging at bad pitches. He's doing everything wrong on the plate. And it's the same thing from last year.
25 home runs already this year, huh?
Yeah, he hit a bunch, and he'll always hit 35 home runs a year. I mean, that's his swing.
Didn't Aaron Judge have 25 home runs by like May?
Oh, yeah. Aaron Judge is almost 40 homers right now.
Really?
And he's out. Yeah. It's not even listen. They're two different players, but they need at least Lindor to wake up soon, because if he doesn't, and any of these kids start to slip a little bit, they could slide. But I still think right now the Mets are at the top end of this thing, headed toward a World Series. I'm not sure they're going to get there, but they're more than capable. But they need Lindor to wake up.
If they get hot at the right time, why not?
Yeah. Sure, absolutely. No, they have enough pitching. They definitely have enough bats if they all wake up. Just plays a little.
Well, listen, just giving a quick look at the Mets.
Yeah.
They have 1, 2, 3, 3 guys with 20 plus home runs, 1 guy with 19, and then after that, it's kind of it's kind of rough going there.
They've been top heavy all year. The beginning of the year, it was Lindor, Alonso, and Soto, and everybody else was just not doing it. Now those guys are quiet, although Soto's played much better. But the rest of the guys have been a little bit on fire, and that's what's carrying them and getting decent pitching. So they have the makings of a team that can really do some damage in the playoffs this year. I just think they don't have enough bats right now when you get to face quality pitching. I think they're a little short. Now, if one of these guys, whether it's Alvarez or Vientos or Beatty, if those guys wake up and catch a little fire, that would help. But right now, I think they're a bat short, maybe a starter short, but definitely a bat. For me, they're a bat short. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But Jeff, let's get to the Jets. It's already 8:15. I want to talk Jets and Giants, and I want to go around the league. I'll go.
Let's go through the league while we got Frankie with us.
Right,
we always talk Jets and Giants. Let's go through the league a little bit, man. Let's do something a little different.
Let me bring it up on my screen so you could see the league. Why am I not seeing? There you go. Okay. Share my screen. Why am I not sharing screens here? Hold on, Jeff. Sorry. There you go. Share screen. There you go. Now, this is last year's standing, so don't go by that. I'm just gonna let me know if you can see it.
No, I can't see that. I can. Hold on. I don't need to see that. I could. I'll just look it up myself and have it on hand. That's all.
All right. I can make it a little bigger, so let me do that. Okay, and
I got it on mine. I got the
All right, so we're going to AFC East to start, Jeff. Okay.
yes, sir.
So we got Buffalo, Miami, New York, and New England. So I'll give you my quick take. I think Buffalo's Buffalo.
Yes, I
They'll
agree.
they've I don't think they've gotten better or worse. They got Josh Allen. They'll be up for the division. I would still say they're the best team in that division at this moment. I think the Jets right this minute are undeniably the second best team in that division. Doesn't mean they're going to be at the end of the year because we know the Jets. New England's going to be better, but maybe not this year. I think they have their coach and their quarterback. They have a solid team. They made some good moves this offseason. I think they'll be a little learning curve. I would watch them next year. So to me, it's Buffalo, the Jets, New England. I think Miami has torn apart their team. I don't think their coach has an answer for everybody else, and he's very weird. So that's my
he is weird. Frank, no, I did not get a new computer, but this one's working fine. Please don't jinx it. Every year I say the same thing until they do otherwise. I don't invest heavily into the Jets. I still say they're going to be the third best team in that division. I say Buffalo. I think it's going to be a toss-up. I think New England got better, and Miami got a little worse. But I don't think the Jets made up much ground, especially with a new coach and with Justin Fields already having some issues with injuries, and just throwing the ball in practice. That's a tall order for that team to move forward. I just don't see it. I'm saying they're going third place to Jets. I'm sorry.
Well, let me ask you: do you think Buffalo has done enough, or can? It's a tough conference. Let's talk. Let's really real quick. So, but you got Buffalo, you got Baltimore. Theoretically, we should have Cincinnati. You should have in the I'm trying to think in the South. I don't know who's going to be good in the South. Well, the Texans, and then of course, in the West, you got the Chiefs. San Diego should be the Los Angeles Chargers should be better. Do you think that Buffalo's done enough to finally get to a Super Bowl?
I don't know if they've done enough.
Had the chance.
I don't know if they've done enough to get to a Super Bowl, but I know that they've definitely done enough to keep a hold on the division. And I just don't see anybody unseating them in the AFC East. I would love to see them get into the Super Bowl again. I really would. But I'm torn with that because I would love to see Kansas City get back into the Super Bowl and get a run at Brady's record. Why not? Mahomes is young enough to actually come close to tying that or breaking it. Mm-hmm. And he's got to go every year and get into the Super Bowl. And they've been in the Super Bowl, 4 of the last 5 years or 5 out of the last 6 years. So, you don't know what's going to happen. I just don't see the Jets as a team that took a step in the right direction. And I think there's too many other good teams in the AFC that are ahead of them.
Well, let me ask you a question. So, you bring in a new coach for the Jets, right? Aaron Glenn's coming over from Detroit. Theoretically, he's going to bring that same mentality, maybe double running backs, a lot of running the football and good defense. They paid Garrett Wilson. They paid Sauce Gardner. They already got Quinnen Williams. Do you think that this team? The big question seems to be a quarterback. They brought Justin Fields over. Did the defense? Do you think he could do enough to fix this defense that played like shit last year? It's a very talented defense that did not play well last year.
Well, even if they fix the defense, if you can't score, what's the difference? Then, you have a great defense, then you're banking on winning games 14-10, 17-14, 21-14, 21-17. You're looking at a bunch of low-scoring games at best because there's no way that, you could get into a shootout with anybody. You're not going to be able to produce. And if your defense, you don't want to tire them out by the end of the second quarter that they're totally shot. That's not cool. And I just, as far as the Jets, like I say, they are the Jets. Until they do otherwise, I don't care what anybody says.
Yep, no. Frankie, and I apologize. You're right. I did leave out the Broncos. I didn't mean to because I have a lot of hope for the Broncos this year. I actually think they're going to be a major player in that division and the conference. We'll get to them in a minute. Right now, let's go to the AFC North. I got to start with the team that's probably going to be the worst team, and I got to ask the magic question: who is going to start at quarterback for the Cleveland Browns this year?
That's a good question, man.
Now, it seems like Shedeur Sanders is not getting a lot of the first team reps.
No, but I heard he went 9 for 9 the other day.
Yeah, against the third stringers, against the
9 for 9 is 9 for 9. That'll get you to the second string. You know what I mean? It's early. They didn't even have a game yet.
Okay.
You know, they're a team that's awful. Brian Sipe.
So let me ask you, Jeff. You got Flacco, you got Kenny Pickett,
Flacco's almost. You got to look at it this way. Flacco's almost 40.
I agree with you, but he's still
he's
there.
Not going to be doing much.
So who starts out of Flacco, Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, the third round pick, and then Shedeur Sanders, the fifth round pick? Which three quarterbacks make the team, and who's the starter?
I think they're all going to make the team. All four of them, I think, are going to make the team.
Wow.
And I think that over the course of the year, all four of them are going to start. Who's going to be there next year is the bigger question.
I agree with that. But who's starting opening day? Come on, you got to pick one. Who's starting opening day? To me, I think it's Kenny Pickett. I think Kenny Pickett starts the season.
Yeah, but like Frank said, Pickett is hurt right now, so he's losing time.
I agree, but I still think
my dark horse is going to be Sanders.
Yeah, I can't see him starting, but okay. All right.
I said my dark horse. That's what I said.
Yeah. All right. So now, does he ever, Lamar Jackson, get that team to a Super Bowl?
I don't think it's going to happen this year. Too
tough a conference and division, or you don't think he's taking that next step yet?
Well, listen, now you're talking about a guy that's closing in on 8 years in the league.
Easy, yeah.
Okay, he should know. He should have a roadmap how to get there by now. He should know what he did wrong. He should be looking to make corrections so that he could take the next step. He should have been doing that the last couple of years. I think that they would be lucky to get into the Super Bowl. I don't think they have what it takes to beat Mahomes and the Chiefs to get into the Super Bowl. And I don't know if they have what it takes to beat Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills.
I agree. I think to be honest with you, I like Cincinnati. Now, Cincinnati has gotten rid of both of their coordinators. They've settled down a little bit. I still think they have to pay Trey Hendrickson. I don't know if I haven't seen anything about him coming into camp yet.
I think he's in camp. I'm pretty sure I read earlier that he
okay, so maybe he's
in camp, but he's not doing anything.
Yeah, so I think Cincinnati is going to win that division this year. I think they're back with a vengeance. I think they will not have the start they had last year. I think Cincinnati is going to take that division. Baltimore will be right there. I think Pittsburgh finishes third. I just don't have a lot of confidence in that team. I don't think it's gotten better. And anytime you're trying to get, at some point the magic's going to run out of Aaron Rodgers. I think it may have run out already.
Yeah.
And he's 41 with no offseason.
1 year left. He says he has 1 year left. He's playing one more year.
Yeah.
What do you think? And he's with the Steelers. I mean, come on. I think he just got to play with any team that would take him. That he's not. I don't see it.
Yeah, I think this is his last year, and I think this is Tomlin's last year coaching Pittsburgh. Short of a miracle run, I think the Steelers will make a fourth head coach in their history, which is kind of amazing all to itself. All right, let's get to Houston. Let's get to the AFC South. To me, by far, Houston's the best team in this division. Indianapolis, you're still trying to figure out who's going to play quarterback for them, which, by the way, it will be Danny Dimes. I will be shocked if it's not.
I don't know about that. They just said Richardson is looking good. He looks like he's a solid quarterback so far this year in practice. That, of course, that translates completely differently.
Sure.
I mean, if this team wants to go and compete for the first pick in the draft, they would go with Danny Dimes.
No, I disagree with that. If you want to compete for that, you're going to play Richardson.
This is another guy. Here's the difference between me and you. Okay, I'll tell you that Sam Darnold sucks, and
Yep.
that just about every Jet quarterback that they've had before or after him sucks. You'll go down with the ship, telling
I'm
me
going
how
out the ship.
Daniel Dimes is. Meanwhile, he's
Uh-huh.
on his third team in 2 years. He couldn't stick with the Giants. The Vikings didn't want him.
That's not true. The Vikings wanted him. He wanted to go someplace and start. He said, "I want to go someplace and guarantee I have a good chance to start." And they like, "Well,
I hear you,
maybe
Frank. I hear you, and it's getting close.
I will.
catching your leg.
I will stick with Danny Dimes to the very end." And
He's
Frankie, go back to your thing. That would not shock me. Is if the Giants had a terrible season and made a change, it would not surprise me if Tomlin was out there that the Giants would. You got to remember, there is a big connection between the Giants and the Steelers. They're all married to each other. Rooney Mara is a daughter of a Mara and a Rooney. That's why she's named that. There's all sorts of marriages between the two franchises. So that's not that shocking. Again, so Houston wins the division. I don't think you're going to see much out of Indianapolis. Jacksonville. The question is Travis Hunter going? Thanks. I know you're not talking about Jeff. Is Travis Hunter going to play both ways in the NFL?
I think he's going to try his best and play as much as he can, but
I think
I think that he doesn't know what he's in for.
I think it's dumb. I think it's an impossible thing. And think about it. If you get hurt, you're losing two guys with one. Now you got to replace two starters with one body. I
Listen,
think
if this was a smart idea, somebody way before him would have been doing it.
Absolutely right. You're 100% right.
And it's not a smart idea.
Hey, another 4-win season. When do we start talking about Trevor Lawrence being a bust?
I already asked that question from you.
Yeah, I think that it's on the table now.
There you go.
Yeah, Rocket Sports. Jeff and I'm Tom. We're every Thursday night talking a little NFL football, celebrating our 11th year in business, and we're looking forward to another football season that kicked off tonight. There's the first game, Chargers and the Lions, and we'll be here every Thursday night to recap and preview each week with you. Tennessee's an interesting one. Will Levis was their starting quarterback last year. They draft Cam Ward, and Will Levis shows up in camp and goes, "By the way, I'm going to go have surgery. I won't be around this year."
Yeah, I don't understand that, man. You want to talk about somebody who's like trying to sabotage his own career?
Oh boy, to me, I've never heard anything like that. First off, if you're Tennessee, did you know he was still hurting? He had to have been showing up for the off-season program. Did you not know? And what was the decision at what point to say, all right, now we're ready to start, I'm going to get surgery? What was that all about?
I don't know, Tom. I just isn't the whole point of July to be ready to play in September?
Yeah, you would think so. I thought it was interesting. Okay, so
I think it's very interesting.
Yeah, so let's move on to the AFC West. And let me tell you something. One thing I'm going to tell you is this might be the greatest division of coaching. Think about it. You have Andy Reid, Jim Harbaugh, Sean Payton, and now Pete Carroll all coaching in one division. That's a lot of winning there. Only Harbaugh hasn't won a Super Bowl. He's been there. Peyton's got one. Andy Reid's obviously got 3. Pete Carroll's got one and a terrible loss on another one. There's a lot of elite coaches in that division.
I think Gary. I think Sean Payton is overrated.
I agree with you to a certain extent, but it's hard to knock the fact that he has had a ton of success. Now, I agree with you.
He had a good quarterback.
I agree. I couldn't agree with you more. Let's see. Okay. So how do you see this? Is Kansas City's run done with now?
No. I still think Kansas City is the team to beat, but I don't think that the Chargers are going to be in second place. I think that'll go to the what do you call it? To the Broncos.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think that the Chargers. First off, I think Herbert's been borderline bust. He's played better than a bust, but it's borderline. I don't expect much out of the Raiders with Pete Carroll. I'm sorry, the guy's 75, 76 years old.
73.
Yeah, he seems like he's 103. Kansas City should still win that division. I just don't think they're going to be the same dominant force. I think the Broncos, I think the Chargers will step up at some point, but you're right. I do like the Broncos better this year. So I think it's Kansas City and Denver. I think Denver, I think you can wind up with three teams in the playoffs out of this division. It would not surprise me.
I think last year that was.
I think you can get it again. I do.
I don't know.
We'll see, but I'm gonna be that'll be my prediction when we do the picks for the year. I'm gonna look at that a little harder. But let's get on to the NFC. We got the NFC East, which very tough division to figure out this year, Jeff. So here's my question. Philly was obviously the best team in football this year. They played like it. They won a Super Bowl, all that good stuff. But we all know it's really hard to get back there again. Will Philly get back to the Super Bowl this year?
No, I don't see that. I don't see that happening this year.
So how far do they go the way of the past, where they don't even make the playoffs? They're under 500. Will they be still the best team in the division, but fall short in the playoffs?
I think they're going to make the playoffs. I just don't think they're going to be the team to beat. I think the Commanders might have been a little premature last year. Mm-hmm. I'll say that. I don't know if they're going to be the team that everybody thinks they were last year.
So let me ask you, that was my next question. Are the Washington Redskins going to be 12-5 good this year? Or will Jaden Daniels hit a little bit of a sophomore slump? People figured him out. Will the Washington Commanders take a small step or a large step backwards?
I think they'll take a small step back a little bit. I don't see them being a total bust.
Right.
I think that they're gonna they'll get back into the playoffs. Okay. But I don't think they're gonna be the team to beat.
Okay. So you don't think it was an aberration? You don't think last year was, this is a team that struggled for years. They had all these number one picks, wasted them all on these defensive linemen that didn't pan out, and they drafted this quarterback that most people didn't really think was going to be great, especially early. And they went out, win 12 games, get the NFC Championship game, and nearly get to the Super Bowl. So you think there's a small step backwards, but not a big leap?
Yeah, I think growing pains.
Okay, fair enough. That's fair enough. Now, to answer Frankie's question, I think the Giants at best is probably a 6 or 7 win team. They have on paper, it's a very tough schedule. Nobody knows. Everybody says, they got to go play in Washington. They got to go. Yes, last year's teams, they'd have a tough time. I don't know what this team's going to be yet. I think it'll be a little better than last year. I'm not expecting a playoff run. And I told this to Jeff before, he thinks I'm crazy. I don't care what the record is as much as I say I need them to be in all the football games. I need them to have good showings and show signs of improvement. I think the last 2 drafts have been great, and I think there's some talent, and it's going to take time to make it ready. But I think that defense is going to be a top 10 defense. I don't know what the offense is going to look like. I have no idea.
Man, I don't know.
I mean, Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, Abdul Carter, this kid Darius Alexander they drafted. I'm telling you, I think their linebacker core is solid. And the secondary with Paulson, with the kid Paulson Adebayo from the Saints at corner. Javon Holland is a legit safety. The question is going to be the other corner. But that defense should be a top 10 defense. If it's not, I'm going to be very disappointed.
I don't know. You think they stand a chance, man? I don't know.
Defensively, yes. I think that defense is – I think Dexter Lawrence is a top 2 or 3 defensive tackle in the league. He might be the second best, but he's right there. Jalen Carter from the Eagles is really good. There's a couple of good ones out there. But to me, that defense, again, health is the main thing because these giant teams never stay healthy. That defense should be a top 10 defense. Will that translate to wins? It's offense. I don't know. I mean, I think the running game is good. I like Malik Neighbors.
No, Malik Neighbors got shoulder injuries and he had another injury.
Yeah. So
you better hope that it doesn't turn to be injury prone this year, because one nagging injury and that's it.
I think you're going to see a lot more of the Giants running the ball this year. I love the backfield with Scottaboo and Tyrone Tracy. If that off, I've liked what I've seen out of Evan Neal at guard. I don't know if he's going to start there, but he's definitely played much better guard than he ever played at tackle. I like the offensive line. I don't love it, but I got to see it in the game. If they can run the football with those two backs, throw it when they need to, and play better football, I think defensively, again, they have a chance to win 6 or 7 games. Anything more than that would be a huge blessing. Anything less than that, I would be disappointed. So, who's the quarterback? It's easy. It's Russell Wilson. If Wilson gets hurt or is bad, you'll see Jameis Winston. And don't be surprised if you don't see Jameis Winston get traded before the season starts. It would not shock me. There's teams out there that are going to need a quarterback, like Tennessee. There are teams that are going to need a quarterback out there. Don't be shocked if you see Jameis Winston get traded to one of those teams. The Saints, right now, I think they're looking to go into the season with Spencer Rattler, quarterback.
They got some problems.
Yeah, so there's some teams out there that could definitely use a quarterback, and don't be shocked if he doesn't get traded for a 3rd or 4th round pick. Would not surprise me. But right now, it's absolutely Russell Wilson, no matter what happens, unless he gets hurt. It's Russell Wilson and then Jameis Winston. And if you see Jackson Dart this year, there's probably a problem. So let's hope I don't see Jackson Dart this year till next year. But Jeff, my question to you is, and I'll let you expound on falls and yeah. I'll let you expand on the Giants if you want, but the Cowboys has Jerry Jones finally admitted with his tough negotiations with Micah Parsons that he overpaid Dak Prescott?
Listen, I'm sure that's
$60 million a year.
Have to be thinking that when you're sitting there, playing cat and mouse with Micah Parsons.
Yeah, because you can't afford to pay him and pay everybody else.
I know that, but here's somebody that there's a more feasible option to be building your team around.
Sure.
And I don't understand it. And the way that these players are, I think the NFL should do something about the contracts that you sign a 3, 4, 5 year deal, you have to honor that deal. You can ask the team to redo your deal, but if the team says no, that's it, man. You're playing under whatever it is. Yeah. You sign a contract, you play for the life of the contract. And I think that's would cut down a lot of problems as far as salaries going out of hand.
Yeah, I also think that if the owners would stop throwing money at guys, to me, I get it. Dak Prescott is an average quarterback, and he'll go out and win you 8, 10, 12 games a year. He's done it, but he's never come up in a big spot. But if you're the Cowboys and he says, I want 60, and you went, take care, have a good career, go play in Jacksonville, and you went and signed a guy who, didn't make $60 million. The problem is they keep adding to, and they're paying these guys. The next guy gets the next amount of money, and none of them will win Super Bowls. And that's, to me, I hope Jerry keeps doing what he's doing, because he's, but it would not surprise me if the Cowboys took him.
That's not going to team out of your team's way. I think that, first of all, you know what? I can't even fault the owners for the situation that they're in.
Really?
Paying players. Yeah, because let's say me and you are both going after Josh Allen. Okay? Mm-hmm. You want him and I want him. And now you go and you talk to him today and you're like, I'll give you $45 million. Mm-hmm. Okay, but all I say to him is like, do me a favor. I said, before you sign anything, call me up. Let me know what's going on. Okay, so now what is it? Mahomes is making $60 million a year,
something like that. Yeah, maybe short of that, but yeah.
Okay, so Mahomes is probably the highest paid player in the league right now. So if I turn around and I say to Josh Allen, I'll give you your last offer from Tommy was $45 million. I'll give you $50 million right now. Okay, what is the difference when you're talking money that way? What is the difference between 45 to 50 million? It's like peanuts for these teams, these owners, these players, and everything else. It's that third time when they go up that third time and they say, all right, well, he'll give you 50, I'll give you 52, 53. And it's a business, and you're bidding for these people. You're bidding for a star, because if you get them, you're getting a great player. You're getting a draw at the gate. You're putting fans in the stadium. You're giving your team a chance. So how could they not? Plus the money that they're making by having a better team, they have no choice but to do it. I don't think it's right, and I think that there should be a salary cap, because I think a salary cap would be proven to be the best way.
Well, you do have a salary cap, because you
Yeah, but
$279 million.
Salary cap. What else do they have? They have the franchise tag. They got guys that after they sign a 5-year deal, after 3 years, I want to redo my deal. And there's just too many things happen where they let people, they don't play the whole length of their deal. I just don't understand that, man.
Oh, I agree. But my problem is not the money you're paying to the Josh Allens or the Patrick Mahomes of the world. But the problem is when you're starting to reward the guy who's average and underachieves a $60 million contract, where do you go? Like, if you're willing to pay Dak Prescott $60 million, what is Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes or even Lamar Jackson really worth? The guys, what are those guys worth if Dak is worth $60 million for having done basically nothing in his career? So that's the problem I have.
That's one thing right there that I got to disagree with.
Go ahead.
I think you're using the wrong wordage there.
Go ahead.
Okay?
What should I be saying?
It's not what is Dak Prescott worth $60 million. It's how much is somebody willing to pay Dak Prescott.
Okay, that's fair. Okay?
And that there is Jerry Jones at near $60 million a year. Yeah. Now, Dak Prescott he's not going to turn around and say, whoa, come on now. I'm not worth that. Come on. You got to do the right. He's not going to say that.
Yeah.
He's not going to say that. And even though Micah Parsons is a great player, look at it this way. If you're a fucking 10-year-old kid, 12-year-old kid, and you're going to see them, do you really care how many times he hit the quarterback and everything else? You want to see Dak throw for yardage. You want to see Dak throw for touchdowns. Micah Parsons isn't underneath center playing. You know what I mean? Like his position, even though he's a big player, the average fan or the below average fan, which is probably what is the main focus of the NFL now, doesn't know what this guy is even doing.
Yeah. Oh, fair enough. So how do you see this division playing out?
I think it's going to be Eagles. I think it'll be a toss-up between the the Cowboys and the Commanders. If the Commanders slip and the Cowboys move up a little bit, I think it could be close. But I think the Giants. I think it's pretty much going to be what it is now. I'll give the nod to the Commanders. Okay,
I wouldn't argue with that one. I think you're probably close to right with that one. All right, let's move on to this. This could be the toughest division in football this year. Now the line,
Got to agree with you. There's a lot of different ways this one could go.
Yeah. Now Chicago, people are starting to praise them for the moves they made. They had a couple of good draft picks this year. They've traded for a big time guard to fix the offensive line. The Packers have been underachieving. 11-6. It's hard to say they're underachieving, and they had a big win against the Cowboys not too long ago in the playoffs. The interesting one is going to be Minnesota. I mean, there's a team went 14-3, but they lost their last couple of games of the year, including the first round of the playoffs. So this could be a very tough division. Either they eat each other alive, but look they have 3 teams over 10 wins. 3 teams went to the playoffs. I could see this happening again. I think the question is going to be how much better are the Bears and what happens to Minnesota this year with a new quarterback.
Well, I'm going to tell you something right now. The way I see it, the only team that I think is solid in this division is the Green Bay Packers. And I'll tell you
really?
why.
Go ahead. That's interesting.
I'll tell you why. the Detroit Lions lost a lot of their coaching staff.
Eight members, yeah.
But we don't know how hard that's going to hit them. Say what we want. We talked about Sam Darnold earlier. I'm not a believer in Sam Darnold. They got a new quarterback who was injured last year, basically rookie in the NFL with the Minnesota Vikings. So you got to see what he's all about. He's not a 14-3 quarterback. We all know that. Chicago Bears, with a lot of the moves they made, are supposed to be a better team, and they're still making moves. Do I see the Bears being a last place team? Not in the sense of what they were last year. I think they're going to be a little bit of a better team. May they still finish in last place? Yeah, but maybe they're going to be 7-10 or 8-9. We don't know till the end of the season. But a lot of people think that Chicago may be able to make the playoffs this year, which means that one of those teams is not going to, fare so well.
Yeah.
And I think that they'll all have a good record and a decent record. But can Detroit slip? Without a doubt. I think that they may slip.
Yeah.
They may be the one that has problems. Is it going to be Minnesota with a rookie quarterback? They may have problems. I think Green Bay, they've been in the playoffs the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
They may be the more focused of the bunch. I would think that, that they're going to, I'm not going to say keep their eye on the prize because that's not what I'm trying to say, but I think that they stand the best chance to come through this wreck.
That's interesting.
Right okay. So I'm going to pick the Packers to be in first place, and then everybody else I think is going to drop a little bit.
So you think it's Green Bay, Detroit, Minnesota, and then the Bears, depending on how they do, maybe they win a couple more games.
I think
Minnesota, bottom feeders.
I think Minnesota is going to finish fourth.
Wow. Okay.
Because of a rookie quarterback.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, nobody knows what J.J. McCarthy is going to be at this point. Now he's had a year to sit on the bench. He's got a great head coach who's a big a quarterback guy. So I think he's got a good chance. But I don't know if I'd say fourth, but I agree with you. I think Detroit's still the best team in the division until shown otherwise. I think Green Bay steps up. I think Minnesota does drop to 3. The Bears may be better this year. I'm not a big fan of Caleb Williams, so I'm not seeing much more. But I think it's interesting, and I don't think you're far off with Green Bay. I think Green Bay may be the most consistent team still in that division.
Oh, listen, look at it this way. At home, they were 6-3. We got their records right there.
Yeah.
They're only one game behind Detroit. I don't think that they're a bad team, and they've been to the playoffs the last couple of years, man. Yeah. I wouldn't discount them. I really wouldn't.
Oh, what happened to my hold on. Oh, man. This thing's got a mind of its own sometimes. Hold on a second. Let me go back. Okay. All right. So let's move on to we're running out of time. So I want to get a little music stuff in real quick. So let's get to the NFC South. Tampa Bay 9-7. Again, a nice season. Made the playoffs. Atlanta. They still have 2 quarterbacks on the roster. Cousins was terrible. They're going with Michael Penix, I believe. Carolina is played a little better, and you saw a little something out of Bryce Young. And New Orleans gets the Derek Carr retirement. Now that they did draft Tyler Shaw, they got a rookie coach in Kellen Moore. This is a tough division. This is a tough division because it's not a good division. So
I just looking at it right now, the way it is, I think is exactly how it's going to finish. Tampa Bay is definitely the cream of the crop in that division.
Yes.
Atlanta, Penix has to have, the Cousins is still there, has to be looking over his shoulder. Cousins has to have a few people on his side in the locker room. You don't know what's going on. New Orleans has got a whole shitload of problems, and Carolina is not too far off from New Orleans. So I think it's going to be Tampa Bay, Falcons, and then the Saints. Some people are picking them to be the worst team in the league this year.
Yeah, and it's very possible. Baker Mayfield, according to my notes, has thrown 69 touchdowns the last 2 years, leading the NFL. So he's got Godwin, he's got Mike Evans. Baker's played well. That division's terrible. They should be better. They should be better than a 10-17. And I think that's why Todd Bowles is on the hot seat. That defense needs to play better, and they're going to get more consistent. But I could see that team jumping up to a 12-win team. The Falcons, I don't think will be better. I don't think Carolina will be better. And I think the Saints could be the worst team in that division easy. So with no quarterback ready to go and a rookie head coach. So we'll see. We'll get to the West to finish up our NFL run through. I do want to get some. I definitely want to get some music stuff in tonight about Spinal Tap and other things. Iron Maiden's original singer passed away. I didn't know much about Paul Mario Day, but we'll talk a little bit. But anyway, I think Frisco. I don't. They've had a lot of turmoil over in there. I don't believe in the Cardinals. What's Sam Darnold going to be? Is Sam Darnold going to make that team better? I think the Rams are an underrated team. There are a lot of people picking the Rams to go to the Super Bowl this year. I'm not huge on it, to be honest with you. But I think the Rams are the best team in that division. I think it kind of ends up just the way it is right now. Maybe San Francisco climbs out of the cellar. I don't know. But the Rams win it, and probably Seahawks, 49ers, and Cardinals. That's how I'd see it.
Well, I think that this is going to be a big year for Kyler Murray. Does he stay with Arizona after this year? Does he have a chance? I think you're going to have to, see how that works out. That's one thing. Second, Seattle, is Donald going to help them? I don't know. I think that's a big question for them.
That's a big question.
The Rams, they tried to get rid of what's his face?
Stafford.
Matthew Stafford last year.
Yeah.
So evidently they're not too happy with him or not a big believer in him. What's going to happen this year? Is he somebody to, what is he the answer after this year? Do they have to start looking elsewhere for a quarterback? I don't know.
Well,
we're going to see.
Yeah, and you brought in Devontae Adams, who had a pretty good. Yeah, I didn't realize he had 85 catches for 1,063 yards and 8 TDs last year with the Jets.
Well, that's between both teams.
Well, between both teams, but still, he had a good season last year. I think they're still the best team. I think the whole division at this point, the rest of the division all winds up. How good is Sam Darnold? If Sam Darnold is the Minnesota Sam Darnold from the first, 16 games, I think they'll challenge for the division and they'll and certainly have a go for a wild card. If he's back to the old Sam Darnold, that's going to be one of those divisions where somebody's got 12 wins and everybody else is winning 5 games.
Yeah, I can go with that.
Yeah, so it's good. It's an interesting it's an interesting end of the start of the season. Obviously, it's way too early in the camps. You'll see guys moving around. There'll be a lot of cuts. Give me 1 minute on what you expect out of the Jets with the new coaching staff. What do you want to see this year? Forget about the normal doom and gloom stuff. If you're a Jet fan, it's early on. You got a new coach. Bill Parcells just loves the guy. Everybody's saying how great and how professional he is. He's already got them doing tackling drills. Give me a minute on what you expect to really see out of this Jet team this year. What will they be? Who will they be?
I hope for a big jump in the right direction. I think that they have a few players in place. I think that this is a team capable of taking a small step, yeah. But I think they're capable of taking a step. You don't want to be the punching bag of the AFC anymore. You want to be able to show that you can hang. You want to be close in games. If you're down by 17 points in the third quarter, you want to maybe sometimes shock the other team and come back and
Mm-hmm.
But you can't keep doing the playing and doing what you're doing and which is burning through players and coaches and you gotta get this combination right. I mean, they're gonna lose the fan base one day. That's what's gonna end up happening. Nobody's gonna want to root for them as it is.
See, I have a little hope for the Jets this year because, one, I think they have a lot of parts. I think they paid the 2 guys that they wanted to pay, and it's showing the rest of the team that they're willing to spend the money. Like, hey, I think I would have traded or I would have gotten rid of Sauce Gardner after what I saw last year. But I respect the fact that they see that as, hey, we're willing to pay our guys. We want some stability. We think both guys are super talented, and we're going to build this team to win. They brought in a guy that they think is going to be their head coach. I think the one question I have on offense is, are they going to force Justin Fields to throw the football 30 times a game, 35 times a game, or will they run the ball and throw when they need to and let him kind of run around a little bit back there? I think the Jets can be a very good team this year. Maybe not a Super Bowl team, but certainly I think a playoff team. I really think there's a chance that they can make another step up. I would at least want them to be into December and January playing meaningful football. If they're out of it in October, it's a failure. And then you really got to blow it up.
See that, man.
Nobody. And I don't believe that they will. I don't think their division's crazy. I think Miami's terrible. I think the New England's a year or two away. Buffalo's still Buffalo. So if you could go snatch a Buffalo game, one of those games, you can win. You can win 4 of your 6 division games. There's a chance.
I don't know about that. I think that's giving them a lot to right there.
No, I think. Listen, Miami is. I root for Miami. I just don't think Miami defensively is any good, and offensively, last year you had the 2 fastest guys in football, and they were one of the worst big play teams in football. They couldn't run the football, and I think the magic's gone. I think that team with a bad year will get blown up after the year.
What do you think of this? I think Tyreek Hill is slipping, and that he's going to be blaming the team for his.
Absolutely.
That's how I see it.
I couldn't agree. I think Tyreek Hill has lost his focus on the game of football, and he's playing on a team where they need him to be the best player on the field, and he isn't right now. He may be the fastest player on the field, but he's not the best player anymore. And I don't think his drive to be the best player is there anymore. No. And I think what he needs is to be traded to a team that's got a dominant quarterback who will tell him, shut the F up and go run your route, instead of the team he's playing for. Now, I'll give him credit. Tua, when he's on the field, has done an okay job, but they've spent too much time without Tua, and those guys have suffered for it. Having to try to catch balls from Tim Boyle and Skylar Thompson has not been great for those guys. So
no, definitely not.
And let me tell you, that's another team where you can see a guy like Jameis Winston winding up there, where if they come out and he gets hurt early and they're looking for a quarterback, you could see that kind of guy getting traded over there. I think Jameis Winston does not finish the year as a New York Giant, not because of anything other than, and the guy's been spectacular as a locker room guy. I listened to him today get interviewed, Jeff. If you had told me this was going to be him 5, 6, 7 years ago, I told you you're nuts. He was like the ultimate team guy, just saying all the right things. I mean, just sounding like a responsible football player. And it was great to listen to. And I think he winds up on a different team, that needs a quarterback. And the Giants, have quarterbacks. They can probably give up one, and deal with it from there. So we'll see. But I think the Jets have a real good chance this year, barring injuries, of course, and the philosophy staying the right way. I think the Jets could be playing meaningful football in December, where you're actually worried about each game.
I don't know about that. I hope you're right, but I don't know about that.
Yeah, we're certainly going to see. Again, before we sign out, and I really would like to get we didn't. Let me ask you a question. A couple things real quick. I don't know how much time you got, but it's been a week since the Hulk died. It's been a little more than that, but Ozzy got laid to rest yesterday. Has there been any more of a clearer picture of how you felt after that? Because I spent a lot of time last weekend watching old wrestling videos. I watched a whole bunch of main events, this and that, and I came to the conclusion that Hulk Hogan, the character, might be one of the biggest icons of the 80s.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. He put wrestling on the map, and he made sure that it stayed there. He entrenched it. Wrestling has its peaks and valleys. We've seen this. We've talked about this before.
Yeah. But
nobody is taking it to the level there was with the coverage that wrestling had at the time. There was no pay-per-views until Hulk Hogan came out. There was no internet when Hulk Hogan came out. There was wrestling magazines. There was no cable TV to watch all over the place. This was a territory at the time when he came out, and he put it on the map nationally. And I feel as though that he definitely did his share. Without Hulk Hogan, the wrestlers, Triple H, Rock, Kurt Angle, everybody, Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Dudley Boys, the Hardy Boys, everybody else that comes around, Edge, Christian, all of these guys, none of them come about. None of them. Mick Foley, none of them. It's all because of Hulk Hogan, man. It's all because of Hulk Hogan. He was the 80s. It's all there is to it, man.
Yeah, and beyond the wrestling end, I mean, you go back and here's a guy, you never saw wrestlers starring in movies, wrestlers starring in TV shows, wrestlers, appearing and having starring roles in other TV shows. I mean, he was everywhere, merchandise. So when I look back now,
and when he was in Rocky 3, he was only like 31, 32 years old.
Wasn't even that old.
Yeah, you don't realize how young he was.
Yeah.
Because that's how young we were.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you always thought like Hulk Hogan was, and if you look at him, he didn't really change that much. Like, if you don't see pictures of him, like, from like back-to-back years, like, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, yeah, he got a little smaller, but he got a little bit older, and it was still Hulk. It still looked like him.
Yeah, no, I agree. Listen, he's one of those guys who just, from the beginning to end of his career, he was as big. I would say he was as big at the end of his career. He might have had some bad times in the middle, but he was as big at the end of his career as he was at the beginning of his career. And after, and he's been done wrestling for 20 years. His brand is still huge. It's selling beer. It's got a bar. It's got a bar opening in Manhattan. $7 million bar just about to open up in Manhattan, dedicated to Hulk Hogan. I mean, think about who gets that. I mean, name another athlete, entertainer who has that kind of clout still at this point, and he's just passed, obviously. But 71 years old, Hulk Hogan is still the biggest wrestler there ever was.
They're saying things I read this week that Hulk, he was on oxygen, he couldn't breathe. Then today in the New York Post, they said that he had leukemia.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that one, really?
Yeah, that he was battling leukemia. Nobody knew about that at all.
Yeah, I've read a lot. Wow.
He was kind of fucked.
Yeah.
In the end, and which is the shame of it. And listen, say what you want about Ozzy and Ozzy dying, but Ozzy was able to get out there. That just means to me that Hulk Hogan, whenever his last appearance was that was it. And maybe he was hoping to get better, or hoping to make more appearances and hang out there a little bit longer, and he just didn't, man. Like, he just seemed to have gotten worse. But the two humongous icons who they're never going to be. It's never going to be the same without them. Without a doubt.
Nope. Yeah, I realized it this week, like how big both of those guys were in our lifetime. I'd have to think really hard to find two other, or even another guy that I would say is as iconic as those guys were for that long a period of time. It's just amazing to me. Again, I'm still. It is a shame, Frankie, and it ain't like they still had some years ahead of them, but it ain't like they went in their 50s. These are guys that made it into their 70s. I mean, think about it. Neither one of those guys should have made it that long. You think about all the punishment. Hogan's had 29 surgeries. Forget about the bad heart. He's had 29 back, neck, ankle, shoulders, knees, and Ozzy, all he put through his body should have been dead 20 years ago.
Yeah, listen, first Ozzy, you're 100% right. This is somebody that's probably lucky that he was alive. But Hulk Hogan, as many surgeries and everything else that he had, he still was in way better shape than any other 71-year-old that I ever seen.
Every kid.
That's one thing. And listen, it just proof, and I tell my wife this all the time, when she eats seeds for dinner instead of eating a fucking steak. And I'm like, you know what, sweetie, healthy people die too.
Oh yeah,
You know, Richard Simmons gone, Jack LaLanne gone. You know, these are all people.
yeah,
Hulk Hogan gone. Randy Macho Man Savage. Well, he probably coked out of his mind.
probably yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, these are guys that were fucking healthy. You know, thought about their bodies first and everything else. Gone. So when your time comes and you get tapped on the shoulder and they're like, "Come with me," there's nothing you're gonna do about it. You could try to negotiate, but if they're like, nah, it's time, let's go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Frankie, like I said, to me, you know, there are bigger stars than those two guys, maybe. But when you think of the iconic of their careers, like they weren't just like Eddie Van Halen's a great guitar player, maybe the greatest of all time. But he's not iconic in pop culture sense. You know, Hulk Hogan, Ozzy were big, huge. You know, Ozzy is probably the godfather of metal. You know, and Sabbath is obviously, you know, all of those guys. But Ozzy will always be thought of a little bit more. The solo was huge. You know, and then you got the pop culture end of Ozzy. And the same with Hulk Hogan. He's the greatest wrestler of all time, probably. He might have been the most physical wrestler I've ever seen, but he's the greatest wrestler. But then you add the reality shows and everything else. I have a hard time coming up with anybody that I would think from this generation, you know, from our past, that I would put, and even McCartney is close, and he's a Beatle. He would probably be the only one. Jeff, I don't know if you thought about it.
Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, Elton John. Those are guys right there. When they die, Britain is gonna fucking cry themselves.
Yeah,
forget about it. Those are guys. They're gonna be iconic, especially Paul McCartney.
Yes, McCartney, I agree with. The rest of them, I think it's big that when they go. That's a tough one.
You gotta remember something. Ozzy did something very unique. Okay, he performed and he was out in concert just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, and then he died days later.
Yes.
Okay, he looked horrible.
Oh yeah.
People. I mean, you looked at him and just the way he was in the chair, he looked like he was gonna fucking die right then and there. Tony Iommi said he hopes that he makes it through the concert.
Yeah.
I mean, is there anybody that's shocked that fucking Ozzy Osbourne died?
No, I just think that you know what for me was,
you thought that he was going to last a little bit longer.
Yes, yeah. So to me I thought like, okay, Ozzy's got a year or two left. They'll nurse him through it. You'll see him a couple times, and that'll be it. I never thought for the life of me that with 2 weeks later he'd be dead. Like, to me, it just didn't make any sense to me. Like, Hulk Hogan disappeared for a while. Like, he was around. He was doing a lot of Donald Trump stuff. You saw him doing a lot of beer stuff. I get videos of him from his Hogan's Hangout, the bar and restaurant. And then all of a sudden it was dead quiet. And there was rumors he was dying. He's dead. He's in a coma. And then here he is. These pictures of him. And then he's gone.
Yeah, but pictures, you know what pictures are?
Yeah.
Pictures are something that could have been taken 6 months ago.
100%. But they're telling you he's still good. So
I know that, but evidently somebody lied.
Yeah. The Ozzy one shocked me because I just saw him on stage for, let's say an hour and a half between the two sets he did. While, in the chair, he looked like he was, 1 foot in the grave. I just didn't think the other one was on a banana peel. I thought you had another couple years of Ozzy popping up here and there. He'd maybe sing a song or two, on an album with somebody. They drag him, from the hospital bed. But to think that within 2 weeks of that concert, he's gone, that one completely shocked me.
17 days.
Yeah, it's
2 weeks and 3 days.
I read saying, and Omi said, I think he basically just hung on long enough to do the concert. And then he felt like, okay, now I can go. And that's, yeah.
Whatever the case was and whatever he was actually thinking, and we all know that, nobody has control over when they're going to die unless they choose to do it by their own hand.
Yeah.
It's just amazing that, you know, that's just think about that, man. It's amazing that,
Yeah.
you know, he hung in there long enough to do a lot of things,
Yeah.
you know, and as far as Ozzy goes, you know, he was loved because he was burnt out. I mean, people, you think about it, guy was a junkie.
Yeah.
And people were fucking, you know, the only thing I don't think he ever did heroin. I just think that he did whatever else, coke, but it wasn't his thing back then, I guess.
I guess. I don't know. Like they always refer to dope, but I don't know if that means heroin dope or something else. He doesn't.
I never heard of him doing heroin.
I never heard it either. But again, you know, just about anything else went into their bodies. But you know, he to me is obviously I don't think he's the best voice I've ever heard, but he's still to me, when I think of metal, he's the guy. More so now than ever. And I think he's just an icon. He's just one of those guys who, again, it's just, to me, they're special because they transcend their genre. Like Hulk Hogan's bigger than wrestling. Ozzy's bigger than heavy metal or music. They were everywhere. TV, movies. Ozzy did some wrestling stuff. Hogan's like those guys are just iconic. Like everybody on the planet knows who they are. They might not know they may never heard a Black Sabbath or a Blizzard of Oz song, but they know who Ozzy is. They may never watch a wrestling event in their life, but they know who Hulk Hogan. That's what makes them special. That's why, to me, they're different they're a little different than the other guys.
Also, you got to think of something too, okay? Ozzy was somebody that you had in your life when you were 14, 15 years old.
True.
And I think I said this last week, okay? He was somebody that was at parties. He was somebody, when you were mad, you listened to him maybe to calm down. When you were upset, he was there. He got you psyched up for certain things.
Sure.
He was there a lot of the times. Frank says he was so likable. I'm sure that you mean both of them, but Ozzy seemed like a likable guy.
Yeah.
There's a clip of him going around on Facebook where he was cooking chicken.
Yes.
And he's looking at the dog and he's like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Don't you go near my chicken. Fuck off. And it's like, that was not an act. That wasn't an act.
That was him.
Talking to the dog that way. Yeah. Like, it's just him, you know?
Yeah. That's what makes him iconic, because again, a lot of people never heard him sing, you know, Children of the Grave. Nobody ever might have heard him sing Paranoid, but so many people saw those shows and fell in love with the guy. That he's just this lovable, crazy, just completely out of his mind guy, and that's what made him. He gave him different parts of his career, and he'll never go away. He'll never disappear. You know, when people think of crazy metal, they'll think of Ozzy Osbourne. That's just what they're going to think of. And it was tough. I have to admit, last weekend was tough for me. I watched a lot of old wrestling. I think my wife and I watched a little bit of an episode of the Osbournes. That's back on TV again. But I've been playing a lot of Ozzy music in the house.
Played nothing but Sabbath and Ozzy this week at work.
Yeah, I listened to it. I have a whole Amazon Music thing for Ozzy. Did a whole bunch of my favorite stuff, and I've been playing a lot of Ozzy and Sabbath stuff in the house. So again, it's just one of those things. And to end the show, we lost another member, not a drummer, from Spinal Tap. Jeff, do you know who we lost?
Mr. Viv Savage.
That's right. David Kaff, 79 years old, passed away. Surprisingly, he was not in the remake. He was not part of the sequel, which, by the way, thank you for sending me that clip. I am still curious. I don't know the answer, and don't know if you do. I know we saw them playing Stonehenge. Is there any new music in this? Oh, are we going to hear old stuff?
Stonehenge with them?
Say again? Yes. Was it Elton John? Yeah. It's just, it's, I have to tell you this. It was frightening how old they look.
That has to be the makeup, no?
I don't know, dude. I would tell you the only one who really kind of resembles himself from the old days is Harry Shearer's character. I'm drawing a blank right now. Bass player.
Derek Smalls.
Derek Smalls. St. Hubbins and Nigel. It's like, you ever see those old guys? They're walking down the street. They're 103, but their hair is like 30. It's that's what they look like. They have like these 100-year-old faces with like 20-year-old wigs, and it just
listen, just so we know, Christopher Guest
is
77 years old.
Yeah.
Okay.
Michael
McKeon.
Yep.
Is also 77 years old.
Okay.
Harry Shearer, I think, is 81.
Oof.
He's 81 years old.
Wow.
Okay. And then you got Rob Reiner, who's, I believe, definitely in his fucking 80s. He's only 78.
Oh, only.
My fucking God, man. Holy shit.
Yeah. So they didn't make this movie soon. It was
they weren't making this movie at all,
Yeah. I am looking forward to September 12th. I can't wait to see it. They're starting to release a little more and more of different parts of the movie, and I can't wait for it. But I want to know: is there any new music, or we listen to, are we getting regurgitated all the old stuff all over again? We'll see.
From the little that I could learn so far of the movie, it looks as though that it's all based on old music, because the band itself looks like they were apart for many, many years.
Yes, they only got dragged back into it because they owe one concert per their old contract with the manager, which is such a great premise. It really is a great premise.
Yeah, because they were actually, they were like, some of them were doing other things, and
yes.
I'm looking forward. I want to see how this unfolds. I want to see how it ends.
Well, I will be putting. I'm going to. Hopefully, I think I know that the Bleecker Street Theater in Manhattan is going to have it on September 12th. I don't know if that's the only place showing that movie. I don't know if, so once we figure out where it's going to play, hopefully it's on Staten Island somewhere. I will see if we get a guys' night. Whoever wants to come, we'll meet, go to dinner, and then go see the movie. If it's me and you, it's me and you. I don't really care.
That's fine with me, man. I don't care how.
September 12th, we will be. I am going to see. I think that's if I'm not mistaken, it's a Tuesday night. If I'm not mistaken, but whatever night it is, it don't matter. We're going to see. We're going to go see Spinal Tap and have some fun. But more to we'll.
There's a Friday night.
Oh, even better. Okay, even better.
Yeah.
Even better. So we'll see if we get the boys together, and we'll try to do a guys' night out and go watch, go out, maybe have some dinner, and then go see Spinal Tap and all that good shit. But in the meantime, this show's got to come to an end. It's 9:20, and I know Jeff's got things to do, and I have to get myself together for tomorrow. So, but listen, guys, it's been a lot of fun. Frankie, thank you very much. Everybody who tuned in and checked in. Matt Salici popped up for a little bit tonight. Thank you very much. And thanks to everybody out there who's been listening. Is the first one streaming? The first one was in the movie theaters. They did a digital remastered version of the original. I know you can definitely find it online. I've watched it, so it's definitely out there.
Spinal Tap?
Yeah, it's definitely on one of the streaming services. But in the meantime, guys, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. We went through the whole divisions. Next week, we'll concentrate on the Jets and the Giants. We're getting a little more into the thing. We'll start paying attention to who gets cut, who gets moved around, who's starting at quarterback, who's on the hot seats. And then, but right before the season, we'll make our predictions for the year and see what we get. So thanks for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. And we'll look forward to another season of NFL football and, of course, the Hard Rock and Sports Show, which is now in our I guess we're to our 12th year. We've just 11 years on the air officially, and we're starting our 12th season doing this. So thank you all. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate your ability to be here every week and do this with me. And I look forward to it every Thursday night.
First of all, I love being here on Thursday nights, and I have no life. I'm not going anywhere or doing anything. I tell the bands I'm in, I'm like, I'm not playing Thursday nights unless there's a show and we have to play. And
gotcha.
They get mad at me, and I tell them, I'm like, nah, I said, Thursday doesn't exist. I got shit to do.
I appreciate that, and I look forward to it. And it gets in, we all know the show is built around football, and this is our time of year. So come on back next week. We'll do this all over again. In the meantime, please enjoy the rest of your night, the rest of your week, and your weekend. and then and a great next week. And Jeff and I will be back next Thursday night. We do this all over again. So for me and Jeff and everybody here at Hard Rock and Sports, have a great night, and we'll see you next Thursday. Hefe, I'll talk to you off the air.
You got it, man.
All right, good night.
Later, bro.